So, SitC. Where to begin? So I just got in, it's like 10:30, and I kind of wanted to record this now while my thoughts are fresh. I don't know if this is going to be the video that I actually upload or whether I'm going to use this as notes to make a video later. I guess you will know if you're seeing this. So, Summer in the City 2018. How was it? Overall, I would say a positive experience. Generally good fun, interesting. Is it better than other years? For me personally, better than last year. Better than the years before? Hard to say. Depends on what you're rating better as. Like, what is your criteria? So let's unpack that a little bit. So for context, I have been to Summer in the City for the last 4 years. My first one was 2015, which is the first year that they started having it in the Excel Centre in London. It had been in smaller venues previously, and really at the start it was just in a field. So it was, for me anyway, it's always been a very big event. I've also been to VidCon EU when that was in Amsterdam, 2017 was that? I think that was last year in 2017. So I've been to a few of these YouTube online video kind of events. And Summer in the City, I feel, especially from having talked to other people this evening about how they felt that Summer in the City is, I'm definitely of the opinion that Summer in the City doesn't know what it is, and that's a problem. So I went to VidCon EU and had an amazing experience. I did a video just talking about how I enjoyed myself there, the things that I learned from that trip. And I came away from that feeling inspired to create and also really feeling like I was part of a community. Like the entire time there I didn't have a negative interaction with anyone. And it was set up so that you had the separate community for fans and people who enjoy watching and absorbing online video, and then you had the separate creator track for people who were there to focus on creating. And I liked that structure. That worked so well for me because all these panels that I went to were really built around the idea of being a creator rather than a viewer. And that really makes a difference. And they also had the creator lounge, a nice area to chill out where you knew everyone in there was also a creator, and that took down that initial barrier of trying to talk to people because you knew everyone there had a channel and wanted to improve it in some way, because that's probably why they were at the event, either in just meeting people or in the gaining new skills, learning how to do other things to set up future collaborations. And it just made it so easy to make new friends. And there are people I met there who I still talk to online all the time, and some of them I've seen again at other events. And that was great. It really, really suited me. I know a lot of people had very negative experiences at VidCon Europe, but for me personally it was exactly what I wanted, and it was what I always wished Summer in the City was. Because Summer in the City is not VidCon, they are very different events, and I think the big distinction is that VidCon is a conference and Summer in the City is a convention, and these are very different things. And the problem is Summer in the City doesn't know that it's a convention, it thinks it's a conference too. It's seen VidCon and goes, that's what I want, and hasn't worked out how to get there. And because the thing is, I mean, VidCon has the convention side of it, but they've worked out how to separate these two things for a creator, and Summer in the City hasn't. They have their separate Creator Day, but Creator Day is really just the main weekend but with fewer attendees. That's it. It's still the same stuff happening in the expo hall. They're still queuing up to meet other YouTubers and get their merch. It's in a slightly more professional context, like you have a chat about your YouTube channel and you getting to meet people who've inspired you and get to talk to them in like that kind of context. But it still very much feels the same as it does on the weekend with just fewer people. And the panels are more aimed at YouTuber creators, but they have a real problem of being either for you've just started your channel and you don't know how to set up a vlog, you don't know how lighting works, you don't know how to use a camera, that kind of stuff. And then it just jumps to this is how you do brand deals and monetize and create, yourself as a brand and get management, which is interesting and useful, and I have been to some of those and found them interesting, but I'm not there. That's not useful for me now. What I need is a designated networking area to meet other YouTubers. I need the creator lounge. That is what SitC is missing for me personally. Because, you could just go up to somebody wandering around the expo hall on Creator Day, but because you're wandering around the expo hall, it's a different dynamic, it's a different environment. It's people there who are genuinely there to go and see the YouTubers as well as the panels, and while they're wandering around, they're not necessarily wanting to chat to strangers. And it's so frustrating because they could so easily designate an area as like, this is the networking area, bring out your business cards, here's a table to leave them on and pick up other people's. It's the sort of thing that VidCon had and Summer in the City doesn't have, and I wish it did. And it's not something that would be particularly difficult to fit in. So, specifically, this year, let's talk about that. I've just got sidetracked about SitC in general. So this year, I overall had a really good time. I sat in on quite a few panels that were interesting and a few panels that were less so. What were the best ones? I would love to say the animation panel that I went to today on Sunday was great, but the sound wasn't set up very well and it was quite difficult to hear everybody. So I think, what I was able to understand was very interesting and enjoyable, but I feel like I missed an awful lot of that. The filmmaking panel, that's definitely one that comes to mind. Not just because I knew someone who's on the panel, Will McDaniel, go check out his videos, but it was a really good discussion about the practicalities of being a small funding filmmaker and how you can make a small film on a budget. There was a lot of really good advice, and also I really enjoyed that when one of the audience questions was basically how do I make sure my first film isn't bad, everybody on the panel just said it's going to be bad. It wasn't pandering, it wasn't being all optimistic of, oh no, just do your best and it's going to be amazing. It's like, no, the first time you do something, it's not going to be great. Very few people are able to achieve brilliance on their first go. That's very rare. You may have a really good vision, but it may not necessarily work out exactly how you want for all kinds of reasons, and experience will allow you to realise that in the future and have the amazing productions that you want. But the first time you do anything, it's going to be a bit rubbish. And I love that they just said that. That was fine. And it was a very nice, honest and interesting panel to be in, and I'm really glad I went to that one. Another really great panel was the disability panel. So I went to that last year and that was really enjoyable, really interesting discussion, and again it was really good. I don't really know what to say about it other than it's really nice that they acknowledge that there's so much to discuss about talking about disability online, and so many different kinds of things and different takes that you can make on it, that it's impossible to really have the discussion in an hour that is allocated for the panel. And they just brushed on all kinds of different things, and it was really interesting, and I'm so glad that I was there. And I haven't done an anosmia video in so long. It's been about a year, I think, a little over a year since I've made a video about anosmia, really. So maybe, oh no, I did do a remake of a video, didn't I? I did a redo of the one about how taste works. But I want to do more videos about that, and that's inspired me to just get back into, right, you've ignored the anosmia videos for a while, maybe try and do some new stuff with that. So hopefully you got that to look forward to. You can thank the disability panel for that. Some of the panels weren't great, and that's always the case. There's always going to be some that just, the panellists don't gel, or the moderator's just not very good at getting the best kind of conversation out of the panellists. It's a difficult job. I think I'm glad I went to the small YouTuber panel, but I don't think I gained anything from being there. I've got some new small YouTubers that I'm aware of, that I've now followed on Twitter, and I'll check out their channels once I've got the chance this week. But other than that, I don't really think I gained anything from that conversation. Is it just because I've been to too many of these panels now and there's nothing new to discuss? Possibly. I mean, they did talk about the recent demonetization of channels. It's just, like my channel used to be monetized, then they changed the requirements and now it's not, and how I quite liked how they were talking about how at the time we were all very outraged about it, and now it's kind of, I wasn't actually getting much from it anyway, and it's fine, and I'm kind of in that camp as well. Initially it was like, felt like a bit of a, kicking us while we're down or something by YouTube, and then it's just like, well, my AdSense had about £14 in it after a year and a half of monetization. It's fine. But other than that, there was nothing new for them to discuss, or they just didn't get the conversation going. Either way, it wasn't riveting, and yeah, I don't know whether it's just that, having the category of small YouTuber, everyone's so different, it's difficult to, other than literally just talking about the fact that, hey, I make videos and I don't have a big audience, there's not much more to say that everyone has in common on that topic, because it's not really a demographic or anything. It's just channels that don't happen to have a huge following for whatever reason, whether it's just that it's very niche, or that they're just new, or that they, I don't know how to make appropriate titles that YouTube knows then who to show the videos to. I don't know, but there's not necessarily anything in common. So I don't know, I'd like to hear anyone else who was at that panel, your thoughts on the smaller YouTubers. Like, is it a panel that makes sense to have? I know somebody mentioned in the pub, I can't remember who it was now, that's really bad, I'm tired, somebody mentioned that maybe there should just be a smaller YouTuber on every panel, like getting the view on different kinds of subjects from people who don't have a huge following, and seeing a different perspective on different issues, rather than just, hey, I don't have that many subscribers. So I don't know, I just didn't. If I do go again next year, I may not go to the smaller YouTubers panel, because I don't think it does anything for me. And that's a thought. Am I going to go next year? Last year I really didn't think I'd go again because I didn't have a great experience. But I realised a while afterwards it was because I was not in a very good place personally, and I don't know if anybody else has had a sort of a bad mental health time. It's difficult to connect to people and forge relationships and have, engage in your environment sometimes when you're in that sort of state. And that's, I think, why I didn't have a good time last year. I think it was very much me rather than Summer in the City. But then also, have I just got everything I'm going to get out of Summer in the City as an event? Is there anything more for me here? Unless they change it up next year, probably not, because it's always the same panels, frequently the same panelists, it's the same points being discussed, it's just all a bit the same. And I think that Summer in the City has just got comfortable. It's got used to being the only big online video event in the UK. And VidCon's coming to London in January, February of next year. It's going to be in the exact same location. It's going to cost, the tickets are more expensive, but maybe VidCon will do something better with the space, and suddenly SitC won't be this, behemoth that it is. That, if they've got competition, maybe they'll step their game up, maybe they'll improve, I don't know. But I suppose as a review of Summer in the City, I really enjoyed myself, but I don't think it was because of the events that were put on at SitC. It gave us a focal point to gather people together, but it was the people who I already knew, catching up with them, and then them introducing me to people that they knew. That was mainly how I had a good time. It was just with friends. And it's just been old school socialising. That's what I've got out of Summer in the City. It's just given us a place to be. Some people who I hung out with this year didn't even get tickets to SitC. They just came along and hung around outside the event and hung out with people. And I feel like that's mean, we might as well at this point just organise our own hanging out at the pub event, really. Oh, so yeah, what are my thoughts? What are my thoughts? Should you go to SitC? Depends what you want from it. If you are a new creator who's just started a channel or has just been doing it for a little while and wants to either improve or get to know other YouTubers, it might be the event for you. It depends on if you're outgoing. I think that's the thing. If you're able to approach strangers, that first summer in the city will require you to make a very active effort to talk to a few people. But once you're in there, then it can be a bit more, natural, meeting other people through people. But if you are just a fan of YouTube, you enjoy watching lots of different YouTubers who go to Summer in the City, then yes, go to Summer in the City, you will have a great time. If you want to meet people, buy their merch, watch the live shows, you will have a great time. If you are a creator, it really just depends on what you want out of it. I think if you are a bit established and you're wanting to network, I don't know how good Summer in the City really is for that. If you don't already know some people who are going who can introduce you to other people organically. Because it just doesn't lend itself to that very easily. So yeah, having said all of that, there's a good chance we'll go again next year, though maybe just for Creator Day. I mean, to be honest, I've got half a mind next year to come to Creator Day, have a nice weekend in London, doing some touristy stuff, and then on Sunday evening, going to the pub and meeting everyone and joining in with that. I feel like that's probably more for me now. But yeah, we will see. Maybe I'll go to VidCon and compare and see. I would love to, it's a lot of money. Right, well, I hope that's been useful. I have no idea, once I've edited this down, because that was a bit of a ramble, whether that will be useful to anybody. But I hope so. Yeah, SitC is a good time, but maybe not a great time. Friends, though. Friends is always a great time. Or something less cheesy.